If you want to know the secret to a happy life, it's this. Expect little from other people and expect a lot from yourself. For the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to make that shift. How to take back all the power you've been giving away and build a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or participation. My name is Michael. I've spent a lifetime learning that the most reliable material to build with is your own character. Everything else is unpredictable. So do yourself a favor and subscribe to this channel, because the blueprints I'm sharing here are the ones that will last you a lifetime. I want you to think about the last time you were truly disappointed. Not just annoyed, but that deep, gut punch kind of disappointment. I'd be willing to bet that it wasn't because you failed at something. It was because someone else failed you. Someone didn't show up when they said they would. Someone didn't appreciate the effort you put in. Someone you trusted didn't have your back. You had a picture in your mind of how things were supposed to go, of what they were supposed to do, and they didn't follow your script. That gap, that space between your expectation and their reality, is where all your suffering lives. We spend so much of our energy trying to be the director of everyone else's movie, getting angry and frustrated when the actors don't say their lines right. But you are not the director of anyone's life, but your own. The moment you truly understand this, the moment you let go of that need to control what is uncontrollable, is the moment you find freedom. Expecting a lot from other people is like trying to build a house on someone else's land. You show up with your tools and your materials, ready to work, but you have to wait for them to give you permission. You have to hope they've prepared the ground properly. You have to rely on them to keep their promises, to show up on time, to do their part of the work to the same standard as you. And when they don't, what happens? Your entire project comes to a halt. You're left standing there with a hammer in your hand, filled with resentment, blaming them for your lack of progress. You've made your happiness, your success, your peace of mind, completely dependent on the whims of another person. It's a terrible way to live. It turns you into a victim, a spectator in your own life, constantly waiting, hoping, and being let down. It's a recipe for a bitter and powerless existence. Now let's flip that. What does it mean to expect a lot from yourself? It means you decide to build on your own land. You are the owner, the architect, and the lead builder. You set the standards. You create the schedule. You are responsible for the quality of the work. It's harder, yes. It requires more from you. You can't blame anyone else when the walls aren't straight. But look at the power you gain. You don't have to wait for anyone's permission to start. You don't have to hope someone else feels motivated today. Your progress is tied directly to your own effort. Every single action you take, every brick you lay, moves the project forward. And the feeling of satisfaction that comes from that, from looking at something you built with your own two hands, according to your own high standards, is 1,000 times more profound than any fleeting pleasure you get from someone else meeting your expectations. I learned this lesson with a man I once called my best friend. We were going to start a custom furniture business together. I was the craftsman, he was the salesman. I spent months in my workshop, designing, building prototypes, pouring my heart and soul into the work. I built up my side of the bargain. I expected him to be doing the same, to be out there making connections, lining up clients, building the brand. I'd call him, and he'd always have a good story. He'd just had a great meeting. A big deal was just around the corner. He was just waiting on a callback. I trusted him. I expected him to be as invested as I was. The day we were supposed to launch, I had a workshop full of beautiful finished pieces, and he had a notebook full of excuses. No clients, no orders, no business. Just a long list of people who had let him down. In that moment, watching my dream crumble because I had outsourced it to someone else, I felt a rage that was quickly followed by a deep sense of shame. He had let me down, yes, but I had let myself down by giving him that power in the first place. I had built my half of the bridge, expecting him to build his. I never made that mistake again. From that day on, I decided that I would build the entire bridge myself, and if someone wanted to meet me in the middle, that would be a pleasant surprise, not a requirement. Expecting little from people doesn't mean you become a cynic. It doesn't mean you walk around assuming everyone is going to betray you. That's just another form of giving them your power. It's a simple, practical shift in perspective. It's the difference between a contract and a gift. An expectation is a contract. You do this, and in return, I will feel good. If you don't do this, I have the right to be angry. It's a transaction. But when you expect little, you release everyone from that contract. You let them be who they are. And when they do something good, when they are kind or helpful or supportive, it's not the fulfillment of an obligation. It's a gift. You can receive it with genuine gratitude, not with the grudging acknowledgement of a debt being paid. Your friend who shows up to help you move isn't just doing what a friend is supposed to do. He's giving you the gift of his time and effort. Your partner who makes you a cup of coffee in the morning isn't just fulfilling their role. They're offering a small act of love. When you stop seeing the world through the lens of what you're owed, you start to see the abundance of generosity that's already around you. So how do you hold yourself to a high standard? It starts with defining what that standard is. You need your own personal code of conduct, your own set of blueprints for the man you want to be. This has nothing to do with what society expects, or what your parents wanted for you, or what your friends think is cool. This is about you, alone, in a quiet room, deciding what you stand for. What does it mean for you to be a man of integrity? What does your work ethic look like? How do you treat people, regardless of how they treat you? How do you take care of your body, your mind, your finances? Write it down. Not as a list of vague goals, but as a set of non-negotiable operating principles. For example, don't just say, "I want to be healthier." Your principle might be, "I move my body for at least 30 minutes every day, no matter what. I fuel my body with real food, not garbage." That's a standard. It's clear, it's actionable, and it's entirely within your control. You don't need anyone else's cooperation to meet that standard. It's all on you. And when you meet it, day after day, you are building self-respect, which is the bedrock of a happy life. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is the engine of high expectations for yourself. It's the force that closes the gap between your intentions and your actions. Everyone wants to be better. But wanting is useless without the will to do the work. And the work is often boring. It's repetitive. It's waking up early when you're warm in bed. It's choosing the salad when you want the burger. It's doing one more set at the gym when you're already tired. It's putting in an extra hour of work when no one is watching. Discipline is you, keeping your promises to you. Every time you choose the hard right over the easy wrong, you are casting a vote for the man you want to become. You are proving to yourself that your standards are more than just words on a piece of paper. They are the law by which you live your life. And the more you live by that law, the less you care about anyone else's opinion or judgment. Your sense of worth starts to come from your own internal scoreboard, not from the applause or criticism of the crowd. I want you to think about this for a moment. What is one expectation you've had of other people that has caused you the most pain? Maybe you expected your parents to be proud of you, or your boss to recognize your talent, or your partner to make you feel whole. What happened when you held on to that expectation? And what do you think would happen if you let it go? Not with resentment, but with acceptance, and decided to give that approval, that recognition, that feeling of wholeness to yourself? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the blueprint someone else needs to see. Letting go of expectations for others also has a surprising effect. When dramatically improves your relationships. When you're not constantly judging people against your internal scorecard, you can actually see them for who they are. You can listen to them without trying to fix them. You can enjoy their company without needing anything from them. You become a source of strength, not a source of need. People are drawn to that. They feel safe around you because they know they don't have to perform for you. They can be themselves, flaws and all, and you won't punish them for it. This is the foundation of all healthy relationships, whether it's with a romantic partner, a friend, or a child. It's a connection based on freedom, not obligation. You choose to be there. They choose to be there. And it's a partnership of equals, not a codependent mess of unmet needs. This philosophy is especially critical when it comes to your work. If you're doing your job just to get the approval of your boss or the admiration of your colleagues, you're setting yourself up for misery. There will always be someone who doesn't like your work. There will always be politics and favoritism. If your satisfaction is tied to their validation, you'll be on an emotional roller coaster every single day. But if you shift your focus to meeting your own standard of excellence, everything changes. You show up and you do your absolute best, not for them, but for you. Because that's who you are. You are a person who does quality work. You are a person who takes pride in your craft. Your work becomes an expression of your character. And when you operate from that place, the external rewards, the promotion, the raise, the respect, often follow. But by the time they do, you'll find that you don't need them as much as you thought you did. The real reward was the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, according to the only standards that truly matter, your own. Understand that this is a lifelong practice. It's not a switch you flip once. You will have to remind yourself of this principle every single day. You will get drawn back into the old habit of expecting things from people. You will get disappointed. You will feel that old familiar sting of resentment. And when you do, you don't beat yourself up. You gently guide yourself back to your own land. You remind yourself, their behavior is not in my control. My response is. You focus on your own standards, your own actions, your own integrity. You take the power back. A happy life is not something you find. It's something you build. And you build it with the materials of self-respect, discipline, and personal accountability. You build it by taking all the energy you were spending trying to manage the world outside of you, and you invest that energy in building the world inside of you. You become your own most important project. You become the architect and the builder of your own peace of mind. And that is a structure that no one can ever take away from you. Now, if you're ready to learn how to silence the noise of other people's opinions so you can finally hear your own voice, you need to watch this video right here. It's the next step in building a life on your own terms. Think about the simple act of holding a door open for someone. The old way of thinking, the way of expectation, is that you hold the door, and the person behind you is supposed to say, "Thank you." If they don't, you feel a flash of anger. You might mutter something under your breath. Your peace has been disturbed because they failed to meet your expectation. Now, consider the new way. You hold the door open because you have decided that you are the kind of person who is considerate. That's your standard. The action itself is the reward. It's an affirmation of your own character. Whether the person says thank you or not is completely irrelevant to your sense of self. If they do, it's a pleasant bonus. If they don't, it doesn't register. You've already gotten what you came for, the quiet satisfaction of acting in accordance with your own code. Now multiply that simple interaction by 100 times a day. The constant low-level frustration you feel from people not behaving the way you want them to simply vanishes. You've insulated your own happiness from the unpredictable behavior of strangers. That is a superpower. This principle will also transform the way you deal with conflict. Most arguments are just a clash of unmet expectations. You expected your partner to read your mind and know you had a hard day. They expected you to be more present and not buried in your phone. You expected your employee to take initiative. They expected you to give them clearer instructions. It's a tug-of-war of shoulds. But when you release your expectations of them and focus on your expectations for yourself, the dynamic shifts. Instead of saying, "You should have known I was upset," you say, "My standard for myself is to communicate my feelings clearly, even when it's difficult. I'm feeling overwhelmed today, and I need some space." Instead of getting angry that an employee didn't perform, you ask yourself, "Is my standard for leadership to provide crystal clear guidance and support? Have I met that standard?" You stop pointing the finger and start looking in the mirror. This doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you take radical ownership of your side of the street. You make sure your own house is in perfect order. And you'll be amazed at how often that inspires other people to start tidying up their own, without you having to say a word. I remember a young man who worked for me years ago. He was talented, but he was a clock watcher. At 5 o'clock, his tools were down, and he was out the door regardless of the state of the job site. I could have gotten angry. I could have sat him down and lectured him about work ethic. I could have held on to the expectation that he should care more. But I decided to try a different approach. I focused on my standard for myself as a leader and a mentor. My standard is to create an environment where people are proud of their work. So instead of criticizing him, I started giving him more ownership. I'd say, "Jim, this section of the project is yours. I want you to treat it as if your own name is going to be signed on it. I trust your judgment." I didn't tell him to stay late. I didn't tell him to work harder. I simply handed him the responsibility and the trust. And a funny thing happened. He started staying a few minutes late to clean up his area. He started asking questions about the next phase of the project. He began to take pride in his work, not because I expected it of him, but because he started to expect it of himself. I created the conditions, but the change came from within him. That's the power of letting go and focusing on your own standard of excellence. But be warned. When you start to hold yourself to a higher standard, it can make other people uncomfortable. Your friends who are used to you complaining with them might feel judged by your new sense of ownership. Your family members who are used to you being a certain way might resist the change. They might say things like, "You've changed," or "Who do you think you are?" They are, in their own way, trying to pull you back into the old pattern of shared expectations and mutual blame. This is a critical test. You have to be willing to disappoint them in order to be true to yourself. You have to let their discomfort be their problem. Your only job is to live up to your own code. You are not responsible for their feelings about your growth. This is another form of expecting little from them. You don't expect them to understand. You don't expect them to approve. You simply expect yourself to stay the course, to keep building, regardless of the weather or the commentary from the sidelines. Ultimately, this is a path to a quiet, unshakable form of happiness. It's not the giddy excitement of a lottery win or the fleeting high of a compliment. It's the deep, abiding peace that comes from knowing you are a person you can rely on. It's the freedom of knowing that your well-being is not a fragile thing that can be shattered by someone else's mood or mistake. It's the profound satisfaction of looking at your life, your work, your relationships, your character, and knowing that you built it with your own hands to your own exacting standards. You are the source of your own validation. You are the architect of your own contentment. Everything else is just a bonus. So I ask you to start today. Pick one expectation you have of someone else and let it go. And then pick one higher standard you have for yourself and meet it. This is the work. This is the secret. This is the way to a life that is truly your own.